Hello friend, Jim here with JB's Big Adventure coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. Welcome back everybody. I've got a great video for you today. And these are basically going to be counting down the don'ts that you want to be paying attention to while you're in Mexico, and especially as you hear Lake Chapala. So starting out, the first one is don't be entitled. Don't move here wanting this place to be or expect the same things that you've got in the States, whether it be finding the food, or whether it be going grocery shopping, I can't find the same things. Whatever that may be, you've got to realize you're in a different country. We're guests here, and so we need to be able to adapt to their culture and their style and to their language. And you got to embrace it. That's what's really important about being here at Lake Chapala, is embracing the culture of Mexican people. It's a very, very great culture. I'm so grateful to be here. Barbara and I talk about it all the time. So being a part of that. So what you don't do is don't be entitled. Don't expect things to be here the exact same way as they are in the States or where you came from. Here's another one. Don't expect the prices at Walmart to be in English. I've seen quite a few people that have actually placed things on Facebook and such about, why don't they replace the information or the signs with English, or have the numbers instead of being in Mexican pesos, it's in dollars. I mean, it's crazy. Here's the thing. Think about this. What if somebody from Mexico came to Houston to a Walmart? They walked inside and wondered how come everything wasn't in Spanish. So we got to remember again that we've got to live way away from being entitled and just realize we're in a different country, and we want to make sure that we're actually working ourselves closer to what the culture is here. Here's another one. It's really, really important. And that is, don't believe what you hear. You've got to be really careful of the voice that you're listening to when it comes to, now I'm talking to folks that are conscientiously looking for answers and looking for direction and looking for tips about retiring to Lake Chapala, because it's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Some folks are selling their home. Some folks are selling their car, quitting jobs, retiring early, whatever it may be. And so it's really important to be careful of the voice that you're listening to, because just like anywhere else, it could be a story that somebody else adds to it and it becomes a bigger story. So what you want to remember is just realizing, and it's been here for 3 years now, and I would just want to encourage you to be careful of the voice that you're listening to. One of the things I really pride our channel on is truth, and being honest and being straightforward and providing good, valuable information and content. And so I've got nothing to gain to say to somebody, do this or do that. The sad thing about Facebook is there's no accountability. You can put anything on there and it doesn't matter who reads it, because of the fact that there'll be people that reads it and they'll take it at face value. But the person that said it might not even be living in Mexico. I mean, there's so many things that go on. So I just want to encourage you to be careful. Don't always listen to the voice. Be careful of who and what you're listening to. Another thing, don't expect the Mexicans to necessarily, if you're side of a restaurant and you're trying to speak in Spanish, but you're speaking in English also, for them just to automatically understand what it is that you're saying. Because of the fact it's Mexico, and because of that, they don't necessarily understand. It could even be just like us speaking in Spanish. We don't always understand, but they want to provide service, and they want to provide care, and they want to be straightforward, and they want to be able to serve you the best way possible. So just realize that just because they've been on their head or they say see, that they really understand. I mean, I know that we were at a restaurant one time and the order came out and it was actually wrong 3 times because we thought that they understood what it was that we would request it. So just be careful. It's something, remember, take them in mind too, in regards to making sure that they fully understand what it is you're trying to share with them. Don't drink and drive. Now, there are restaurants here that actually provide free alcohol. As a matter of fact, it's free margaritas, it's free wines. So whatever it is that you're looking for that you have an interest in drinking, But just be careful. Don't drink and drive. It's it's just common sense. Doesn't matter where you're coming from in the States or from Canada, but just really be careful. Take into mind that that the traffic should be looked at the same way as we do in the States, and abiding by laws and not drinking and driving just because the alcohol is free. Be careful driving at night. So you don't always necessarily want to be driving at night. There's potholes. There's topes, which is like the speed bumps. You've got animals. You've got people crossing the street. There's all kinds of things that happen from that. So be careful about that too. If in fact, if you're looking at driving at night, just be careful. Now, when we got here, we were told not to eat the street food. So I'm going to say to you, don't eat the street food. But you know what? That's a case-by-case basis. I mean, I know folks that have come down that I've taken out on my relocation service, and one of the things they wanted to do is drop by and get some of the street tacos and such. That's absolutely fine. I've only had one person that basically felt the next day like they didn't feel really good. Had no idea what that feeling came from. I mean, it could have been they drank the water or something. So just be careful when you're doing that. And if you want to know of a good place to go to, if you see a lot of Mexican families and such there, that's normally a good, thumbs up that there's good things there, and it's something that you can actually eat and should be okay. Sometimes you have to make sure you have a cast iron stomach because some of the things here are extra hot. So just be looking out for that when it comes to your dining experience. Don't flush the toilet paper down the toilet. Now, it depends on where, in fact, you're living here along Lake Chapala's North Shore. There are places where you do have to basically put the toilet paper inside of a trash can. It's sitting by the toilet, by the commode. And so that's something you really need to be watching for. But for the most part, there's places here that you can live that isn't that problem because the old pipes, they're actually smaller. So it gets constricted when the paper gets in there also and gets plugged up. So just be careful on your travels, especially if you're looking at neighborhoods and such. If you're coming out with my relocation service, I definitely let you know what neighborhoods you can expect there. You can flush it down the toilet, or which areas do have the best electricity or consistent utilities during storms and those kind of things. So that's just something about flushing the toilet paper down the toilet. Don't forget to try new foods. There's a lot of different Mexican cuisine here, but there's also cuisine that comes from other countries. So don't, forget to be able to try that too. Don't be a moving target when it comes to theft. In other words, don't wear fancy jewelry and fancy clothes and have fancy watches on. And you don't want to be attracting attention. That's a really important thing. We're in Mexico. We're not in the States, whereas things can happen there too. But just don't create you being a target because it does happen. But you just want to be careful. I mentioned about not eating the spicy foods until you necessarily check it out, like with a little spoon or something, just to make sure that it's going to be okay for you. So that, again, that's also something that's up to your own personal taste. Don't pass up meeting new people. Now, this is one of those things that it's really it's one of those things that I've really taken to heart about creating community here. So when you come down and you're part of our channel, we actually have get-togethers. You get to make new friends, you get to meet new people. You need to find people that are from the same place that you're from. And so that's something that's really important, is being able to be around people just like you that are wanting to make new friends. And I'm really, proud of myself. Part of what we do, I'm told time after time, our get-togethers are like the highlights of the week. So just realize it's our opportunity here, making new friends, not only within this circle, but also Lake Chapala Society. There's all kinds of clubs. You got the American Legion. There's all kinds of things for expats here to really be able to make new friends. This is one, it's also a pet peeve for me. Don't forget to tip the waiter. Now, most restaurants don't accept credit cards. So what you're doing is you're paying actually in pesos, in cash. So what you really want to make sure you're doing is carrying pesos. And don't forget to tip the waiter. That's really important. Now, how do you do that? Let's say that your meal is 150 pesos. Well, 10% of that is 15 pesos. 20% would be 300. Would be 30 pesos. So just realize that whatever the amount is that you give to them is very much appreciated. But I just really hate it when I see people go in, have food, get served, and they leave without leaving a tip on the table. So don't be one of those people. Make sure that you tip well. Don't expect anybody to really know the directions. I can't tell you how many times I did this when we first got here. People would tell us, I would ask questions about places to go and such, because I've got a pretty good internal compass. So people say, well, go here or go there, or this is what you're looking for, travel this way. Well, you know what? I've gotten lost a bunch of times just because, people are well-meaning, but it doesn't mean they have the right information. So just make sure that if you're asking questions, really pay attention, take down some notes, because chances are you're not going to get to where you're thinking you're supposed to be going to, because either you've been given the wrong street names or you've been given the wrong places and landmarks to be looking for and such. So just be careful when it happens if you're asking questions about places. Don't lose your visa. Don't lose your passport. Don't lose your FMM card. You've got to really guard those. I know that a lot of folks just carry them with them all the time, and I think that's good practice, because you just never want to be caught in the moment where you're needing it and you don't have it. So don't lose it. You want to make sure that you've got that with you at times. Don't drink the tap water. Now here again, depending on where you're going to be living or renting or where you're going to be visiting for a period of time, you just got to be really careful about the areas that you're in. And in fact, if the tap water is okay. Now, there are places here where communities that are actually on wells, like where Barbara and I live, there's wells, and there's wells in other communities also. So it just all depends on where you're at. So just because they say, don't drink the tap water, you get Montezuma's revenge, that isn't necessarily the case with all the areas here at Lake Chapala. You could very well be in a place where it's okay to drink the water. Don't expect the Mexican food the same it does as it is in the States. Remember, we're in Mexico. We're far enough south that the kind of food here is not influenced into the States. So you don't find here, you're not going to find like flour tortillas, because here grain is not grown, it's actually corn. So the farthest that you get away from the border, the less it's going to be the same thing that you would become accustomed to in the States. So just realize it isn't necessarily the same. And if you're looking for good Mexican food, I can just tell you, if you're looking for something it's like you're accustomed to in the States, it's called La Fiesta. And anybody I've directed there, and we've spoken to you later, it's become one of their favorite places to go to. La Fiesta, right off the carretera. It's a great place. And if you're there, tell Juan, who's the main guy there, tell him that Jim sent you. So I know you'd be getting good taken care of there. Don't forget to be kind to the Mexican people. Again, this is their country. We've got to embrace the culture. So be kind to them. Realize that they're hard workers. And you really want to make sure that you're paying attention to the times that you can smile, the times that you can shake a hand, the times you can say buenos dias. You know, again, it's a warm people here. They're hard workers. We need to make sure that we're showing appreciation to them, because after all, this is their country. So be kind to the Mexican people, because they're warm, they're unbelievable. It's just an amazing place to be here at Lake Chapala. Oh, if you're driving, don't expect the traffic signs and signals to be enforced. They're basically just recommendations, suggestions of following. I would like to really encourage you, though, that if you are driving, just keep the same traffic laws in your mind as if you were traveling in the States. Realize that, yes, you're going to have motorcycles that are going to go up and down the left and right-hand side of your vehicle. But you just got to sometimes have your head on the swivel. So just realize that just because it's a stop sign doesn't mean everybody's stopping. And the thing that really kind of bugs me some too, and that is when I see expats, just because the person in front of them, a Mexican, does it, doesn't mean that it's the way that they should do it. Now, that's just me. That's just my moral compass. That's just the way I was raised. And I just feel like, we're brought up using traffic signals and signs in the States. Now, unless there's one reason or another why the street police are moving you along or something, but wait for the traffic light to get to green. Not just because there's them coming on both sides here, it's a red light, you just take off. I've seen it time and time again. So make sure to remember that you've got to be careful when you're driving and that the traffic signs and such are just suggestions. So, friend, I hope that's been helpful for you. I really enjoyed putting these together because the fact Barbara and I have now been here 3 years, and I went through to find out the things that that folks need to know about before they get here. So, as always, thank you so much for being a part of this channel. Thank you for being and supporting this community. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.